But we start here with chaotic scenes erupting as the City of Tshwane yesterday, this after their Mayor Cilliers Brink's announcement that the city would not grant municipal workers wage increases. It is the second year that workers in Tshwane are not going to receive a wage increase. Let's hear from the Mayor himself. He's making time for me this morning. Mayor, good morning to you, and I appreciate your time. Why is there no money? Good morning.
Hi, Gareth. So in essence, the municipality and local government in general have gone through a series of shocks in the past few years. Lockdown, load shedding, which doesn't just destroy infrastructure, but also makes it very difficult to make even a margin of profit on the sale of electricity. And then, of course, in Tshwane specifically, there was mismanagement, including the granting of about 18% salary increases back in 2019, outside of the collective bargaining process. All of these things have added up over a number of years, and as you know, the city has had to go to Eskom and Rand Water and make payment arrangements. In June, which was when it was effectively announced that the city can't afford salary increases, we adopted a budget with quite a big majority in the municipal council, in which no provision was made for salary increases, plus a financial rescue plan, which also provides for us applying for exemption from the bargaining council. This will save us about 600 million rand. And while I say save, we don't really have 600 million rand to pay salary increases. So it is necessary to make and to carry through the difficult decisions now, instead of waiting 2-3 months, implementing salary increases and then not being able to even pay salaries. So that is the situation that we're in. We're very candid about it, and we'll make our case at the bargaining council.
An awful amount of money is one of the accusations, Mayor, that the city has wasted over the years on projects that haven't come to fruition. Historically, this has been blamed on previous administrations as well. Unfortunately, you're the one in the seat at the moment as well. How much money is the city having wasted over the last few years that you're trying to recover, which now results in no wage increases?
So it's not just about wasted money, it's also about corruption and, as I mentioned, granting salary increases outside of the collective bargaining process, which was a benefit that has already accrued to employees of Tshwane. The Auditor General in their report found that over a period of 10 years, there was an amount of 18 billion in irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure that hadn't been dealt with in terms of the MFMA, in other words, investigated and or written off or claimed from those responsible. We've been able in the last financial year, that's the end of June, to deal with about 10 billion of that 18 billion figure. So that is the reality. We do have instances of gross errors of judgment and mismanagement that has to be cleaned up. And this, of course, also includes a period where the city was placed under administration unlawfully by the Gauteng provincial government, which was a disastrous period for the city. It came with lockdown as well, and that was a double blow to the city. So these are the facts about what's going on in Tshwane. The point about taking responsibility is also how do we get out of this financial mess? How do we ensure that Tshwane doesn't join the league of municipalities that are unable to pay salaries and pension contributions? And as painful as this decision is, and I must also add that if workers don't get salary increases, councillors also don't get salary increases. We've made that very, very clear. And as difficult as these decisions are, it's far better to do it now than to be facing the consequences of further mismanagement, as I mentioned, 2 or 3 months down the line.
Yeah, we've seen this in other municipalities and other big metros. It can often result in job losses, actually, further down the line. Eventually, the city's credit cards run out of money. They can't keep it going. I'm wondering, though, Mayor, are you not concerned about the fallout when it comes to service delivery on this? Obviously, we're talking about water issues, which you're well aware of in Tshwane. This is not even to mention blackouts and what this could mean for not getting to the issues quickly enough. You could lose money as a city as a result of that. Infrastructure not being maintained, blackouts getting worse. So I suppose you're trying to find a balance between the two. fork out the 600 million for salaries. If that doesn't happen, clearly it's not going to, you could be in trouble when it comes to the unions.
That's true, but we also have to reach a point in this country where we can follow processes and abide by the law and by the stipulations of collective agreements. If the city were to cave in the face of violence and the sabotage of service delivery and infrastructure, then we would legitimize criminality. And then it is a slippery slope to there being absolutely nothing left. We do regard workers of the city as part of our local community. We value workers, we value the role of trade unions, we respect the collective agreement, and that's why we've said we won't step outside of the collective agreement. We'll seek the exemption that is required not to pay salary increases. But it's also a point about being accountable to residents. We are not spending our own money, we are spending the money of residents. And we have to also account to them what is sustainable, what can be carried through. How do we deliver value for the money that people pay in rates, tariffs, and charges? How do we ensure that there is sufficient money to cross-subsidize services to the poor? If we don't look at these things, if we simply buckle under pressure, then there won't be a City of Tshwane in the next decade.
What happens next, Mayor? Forgive me. What happens next later this morning? How do you now try and engage with the unions? Because some are calling these wildcat strikes as well. This could escalate as well. It's understandable. I'm sure you'd agree about the high cost of living. Workers are upset by that. Everyone's feeling the pinch on that. How do you try and prevent this getting worse than it is at the moment when it comes to the unions and unhappy workers? What do you do today?
So we are open to meeting with the leadership of SAMWU in particular. We tried to take a memorandum from them a few days ago, but because violence erupted between different factions of SAMWU, it was almost impossible to accept anything in that situation. We have, in the meantime, reached out to them and said that the city manager and I are happy to take the memorandum this morning. But the principles and the rules of labor law and of the employment relationship remain. No work, no pay, and an ultimatum has been issued to workers, a final ultimatum to those who are on strike, on unprotected strike, to return to work by 11 this morning, or they will face disciplinary action, including possible dismissal. We have to apply those rules. But at the same time, we don't want to be antagonistic. We're not pointing fingers. We don't want to get involved in the internal politics of the union. We simply want to say, this is the situation that the city finds itself in. And unless we carry through these difficult decisions, there won't be any benefits to anyone. No member of our local community would benefit from this.
Oh, it's going to be a very, very tight rope to try and walk. Mayor, thank you very much indeed for your time. Tshwane Mayor Cilliers Brink.